My brain is doing backflips right now, just processing the sheer magnitude of what is currently floating around the rumor mill, and I stayed up way too late thinking about this. We are talking about the potential earth-shattering, absolutely jaw-dropping return of Avery to the canvas as the one and only Esme. Yes, you heard me correctly. The Whisper Network is on fire with the possibility that Esme is actually alive, which, let us be completely honest, we all kind of suspected deep down in our soap-loving souls. I mean, nobody is ever really dead unless we see a body, a funeral, and even then maybe a ghost, just to be sure. But the idea that Esme is breathing, walking, and preparing to crash back into town is sending me into a complete tailspin of excitement and anxiety. I know I am overanalyzing, but the implications of this return are astronomical for every single person on the campus right now. Let me backtrack for a second and just set the stage because we have to remember exactly how we left things. Picture the freezing, murky waters of the river in Paris. The sheer visual impact of that fateful night was cinematic gold. We had the struggle on the boat, the desperate grappling, the slipping, and then that horrifying, breathless plunge into the icy depths. It was a masterclass in building tension. The visual of the dark water swallowing them whole has haunted my dreams for months. Now, I know there's a massive plot hole here regarding how anyone, let alone a young woman who just went through a massive physical trauma, could survive the freezing currents of a major European river in the dead of winter without immediate medical attention. The logistics make absolutely zero sense. The hypothermia alone should have been the end of the story. I acknowledge that plot hole out loud, right here and now, and you know what? I am consciously deciding to completely ignore it because the drama of her surviving is just too delicious to pass up. Okay, wait. Just picture the actual scene of her return. Imagine the visual impact. The camera pans across a crowded room, maybe a restaurant or perhaps the cozy, unsuspecting living room of Laura. The lighting is slightly dim, moody, casting long shadows. The door opens, and there is a pregnant, agonizingly long pause. The camera slowly tilts up from a pair of worn-out, waterlogged boots up a tattered, muddy coat that looks like it has been dragged through hell to reveal the bruised, exhausted, but undeniably alive face of Esme. Her hair is matted, her eyes are wild with a mix of terror and defiance. The sheer psychological weight of that single visual frame would be enough to win major awards. What happened to her in those missing months? The physical toll on her body, the visual representation of her survival journey, it all speaks to a deeper thematic meaning of resurrection and consequence. Soap operas love a good return from the watery grave, but Esme walking back into town is not just a return, it is a walking, talking reckoning for every single person who thought they were finally rid of her chaos. And let us dive into the character psychology here, because it is a total labyrinth. Which version of Esme are we getting? Is this the amnesiac, sweet, misunderstood girl who just wanted to be a good mother to her baby? Or did the shock of the icy river water snap her original, calculating, venomous personality back into place? My brain is doing backflips trying to figure out her internal state. If she remembers everything, the betrayal, the fight, the fall, then she is coming back with a vengeance that will scorch the earth. But if she is still the lost soul, the psychological torture of returning to a town that fundamentally despises her is equally compelling. The deeper thematic meaning here explores whether redemption is actually possible or if we are always bound to revert to our darkest selves when pushed to the absolute brink of survival. But hold on, I keep second guessing the biggest part of this entire rumor because it is not just about Esme surviving. The absolute bombshell, the nuclear explosion of a plot twist, is the rumor that Esme returns with a terrifying piece of information. Spencer is alive. Let that sink in. Spencer is alive and being held captive in some undisclosed, highly secure, probably terrifying secret location. I stayed up way too late thinking about this specific detail. If Esme knows Spencer is alive, it means they either survived the fall together and were separated, or she witnessed him being pulled from the water by some shadowy organization. The psychological burden on Esme, carrying the secret of Spencer being alive, is staggering. She knows that revealing this will instantly shift the town's focus from hating her to needing her. She holds the ultimate bargaining chip, the golden ticket to her own survival, and possibly her redemption. Let me go on a quick tangent about the history and lore of these secret captivity storylines, because we have seen this play out before with various shadowy villains. Think about all the times someone was presumed dead only to be found years later brainwashed, locked in a gilded cage on a private island, or frozen in a cryogenic chamber waiting for a mad scientist to wake them up. The legacy of villainous masterminds snatching people up in the dead of night is deeply embedded in the very fabric of this show. It makes you wonder who exactly has the resources and the motive to fish Spencer out of a French river and lock him away. Is it a rogue family member? A new, unseen enemy? Anyway, the point is, Esme holding this puzzle piece elevates her from a mere nuisance to the most important person in the narrative universe right now. She is the key to unlocking a massive, global conspiracy that is so much bigger than a simple tragic accident. Now, let us talk about the ripple effect this will have specifically on Trina. Oh my goodness, Trina. The visual impact of Trina receiving this news is going to break my heart into a million tiny jagged pieces. Imagine Trina, who has been suffocating under the heavy, crushing weight of grief, who has finally started to take the tiniest, most fragile steps toward healing, suddenly being hit with the news that her soulmate is not at the bottom of the river. The psychological whiplash will be devastating. Trina will go from profound sorrow to a frantic, adrenaline-fueled desperation in the blink of an eye. The deeper thematic meaning for Trina is the agonizing nature of hope. Hope can be a beautiful thing, but in this context, hope is a weapon that will tear open all her freshly healed wounds. The tension in those scenes will be palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. And what about Laura? The grandmotherly dynamic here is so complex and layered. Laura has been carrying the guilt of 1,000 lifetimes, blaming herself for not being able to save her grandson, for not seeing the darkness in Esme sooner, for the entire catastrophic mess. The psychological relief of hearing Spencer is alive will instantly be overshadowed by the sheer terror of knowing he is in danger. Laura will transform. We will see the fierce, unrelenting, protective matriarch emerge. The visual of Laura rallying the troops, her face set in stone, her eyes blazing with a fire we have not seen in years, is going to be iconic. She will tear down heaven and earth to find him, and ironically, she will have to rely on the very girl who caused the destruction in the first place. I can already picture the action sequences building from this revelation, and I am describing this in breathless detail because my heart is pounding just thinking about it. Picture the frantic war room setups, the maps spread across tables, the burner phones, the tactical gear. Imagine a rescue mission launching in the dead of night, helicopters cutting through the thick fog, mercenaries creeping through the damp, echoing corridors of some ancient, forgotten fortress. The tension will be unbearable. Every shadowed corner could hide a guard, every locked door could be the one hiding Spencer. The staccato rhythm of footsteps, the whispered commands, the sudden, violent burst of a door being kicked open. It is going to be an adrenaline-fueled race against time, and Esme might just be the one leading the charge, navigating the treacherous path to wherever Spencer is being held. Okay, wait. We need to talk about the real-world news that is throwing a massive wrench into my theories. Or maybe it is actually the missing puzzle piece. Avery just announced that she is officially joining a brand new, highly anticipated project, an origin story project called Scooby-Doo Origins. The internet absolutely exploded when this news dropped. I know I am overanalyzing, but when an actor books a shiny new gig, the immediate fan reaction is sheer, unadulterated panic. We assume they are gone forever, that they have packed up their dressing room and moved on to greener pastures. But let us look at the history of soap actors juggling multiple projects. It happens all the time. A voiceover role, a limited series, a guest spot on a primetime show, these do not always equate to a permanent exit from the daytime canvas. In fact, sometimes it invigorates them. The scheduling can absolutely be worked out if the network wants it badly enough. I keep telling myself that this new Scooby-Doo Origins project is just a fantastic opportunity for Avery to flex her acting muscles in a different genre, and it does not definitively close the door on Esme. If anything, the timing is almost too perfect. She takes a break, lets the audience truly feel the absence of Esme, lets the grief settle over the characters, and right when we have completely given up hope, bam! She walks back onto the set. The pacing of daytime television is a slow burn. They need time to build the longing to establish the new normal before they completely shatter it. Avery booking another job might just be the perfect cover story to keep the ultimate secret of her return completely under wraps until the exact right moment. But this is where my anxiety completely takes over. I am so terrified about the pacing of this potential storyline. The writers have this incredibly frustrating habit of building up a massive, monumental climax and then dragging it out for months? What if Esme returns, drops the bomb about Spencer, and then we spend the next 40 episodes just watching people talk about it in the hospital cafeteria? Please, please, please do not cut away to something boring. If we get this explosive revelation, we need immediate action. I swear, if Esme says Spencer is alive and the very next scene is a 5-minute conversation about corporate earnings or someone's minor parking ticket, I am going to throw my television out the window. We need momentum, we need high stakes, and we need the focus to stay locked on this massive conspiracy. I am deeply invested, slightly chaotic, and completely obsessed, and I need this storyline to deliver the absolute maximum amount of drama possible